Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Tales from the Fandom. I am David, your host, and today joining me is one of my favorite late night Twitch streamers. I am joined by Annie. You may know them as Annieisnotokayy. We got some interesting spellings on them, so we're going to talk about them at the end of the episode. But you can find the links to Annie in the show notes or on the website or Facebook page. Annie, how are you doing today?
Doing all right. How are you?
I am doing good. I am really excited to have you on the podcast. You have been one of the guests that I had on my list that I started making, I think, mid 2020. And I said, I want Annie to be on the podcast. And here you are.
Yes, I'm so excited as well. I feel like I've just gotten to know you a little bit more for a while. I feel like we've been in contact for a while and just hanging out in my stream and in other friends' streams as well. It's really exciting to be here.
It is. It's definitely something interesting when I have Twitch streamers on that I follow and interact with a lot because obviously I am watching you and listening to you and enjoying your content, but I'm chatting with you. And now I get to actually talk with you and interact with you on a one-on-one level, which is really
Right.
neat. But it's nice to
Yeah.
actually just have a conversation back and forth that's not delayed by Twitch or lag or any of the other things.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely more personal. It's really nice.
It is. Now we're going to definitely be talking about Twitch streaming, and I got a lot of questions for you. But one of the big things that you are doing, and obviously it almost goes hand in hand with your Twitch stream, but you play video games, and I just want to start things off nice and easy with how long have you been playing video games? Like what was your first like game that you got into or your first console that you had?
I remember growing up going to my grandma's house, and my grandma was this crazy lady. She was all into technology, definitely ahead of her time. But I remember playing Spyro on the PlayStation over at her house, and I loved it. I completely immersed myself into it, like every single time I would go over there. And I don't know. I kind of grew up kind of poor, so video games weren't something that was very common in my childhood, but something that I always remember just wanting to do more. You know what I mean? And I finally, I turned, let's say I was like 11, and I got my first Game Boy, and that just sparked it for me. Nintendo is like my entire freaking life. I love Nintendo. I definitely appreciate my grandma for getting me into, just technology in general and definitely video games and all of that.
So kudos to your grandma for having that and being hip and having Spyro for you to play because that's like it's hard to imagine because I remember when Spyro came out and it's hard to imagine Spyro being such like a cult like figurehead almost like on the level of like Mario and Sonic and then like
Yeah.
Spyro and Crash.
Right, yeah, it was Spyro and Crash that I was playing, yep. I had, like, the Game Boy Crash game, which was really fun.
Oh my goodness. So you had a Game Boy. What Game Boy games did you lean into? What were some of your favorites when you were growing up?
Definitely Crash. I said, I grew up kind of poor, so I wasn't really playing any of like the top games. I had some like little fighter games on there. I'm pretty sure I had some Dragon Ball games. I definitely had at least one Pokemon game, and it was Pokemon Emerald. Uh, the best Pokemon game. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it right now. um, Hands down, 100%. But and then I remember. I feel like I remember Crash the most. Crash was one that I played quite a bit. It was kind of ridiculous.
Now, I am not familiar with Pokemon Emerald, and I feel like there might be fighting words when you say that Pokemon Emerald is your favorite and the best. What makes Pokemon Emerald the best?
I'm not gonna lie, it's pure nostalgia for me. And I can accept that. That's okay. But I do remember once I got traded this C dot in Pokemon Emerald, and I don't know why, but this Pokemon spoke to me in a way that no Pokemon has ever spoken to me. Um, and I cherish that C dot, and I always have that memory with Pokemon Emerald. And as it just being my first Pokemon game in general, I really, really enjoy Pokemon Emerald.
I can understand and appreciate the nostalgia of you have those games and they especially at a young age like 10, 11, 12, like you're playing them and there's just something like it's whether you like you're going through something or you have that like moment with the game and it just leaves that mark for like the rest of your life because I know I still call out like games from the Super Nintendo days that I grew up with and I'm like that is the best game ever. I don't care if the graphics aren't the greatest, but the story and everything when I was growing up with it like that was my game and it's forever like my number one game.
Right, yeah, definitely. I was super, super excited when, not only the NES games, but now the SNES games on the Switch, if you have Nintendo Switch Online. There's so many good titles in there, and it makes me so happy to be able to finally play those again. There are some that I want still, but that's okay.
There are definitely ones that I remember from my childhood, and the only problem is I don't remember how to play them, and they're not always like the best at explaining how to play the games, and I get
Right, yeah.
frustrated, and I'm like, I can't do it. I want to play you, but I don't understand the controls anymore.
Right, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Let me just play you.
Right, oh my goodness.
So you got the Game Boy, you had your games, and then throughout the course of your life, you just have gotten into gaming further. And I know you said that like Nintendo, like is Nintendo the main like your main brand that you kind of like gear yourself towards?
Definitely, but I've also had a lot of other interests as well in the gaming space. I think it was around the time that I was in middle school because I'm pretty young, so I really got to live. I think through gaming's peak, you know what I mean, and we're still definitely there. I feel honored. I feel blessed. But I started getting into like PC gaming in around middle school, and I really got into like esports and just the whole gaming, like online gaming scene. When Twitch was starting to become big and streaming was starting to become big, esports just really interests me. I played 7 years of my life and I'm kind of disappointed, but I spent 7 years of my life playing League of Legends, and among other, competitive gaming scenes, and throw myself into, but League of Legends was definitely the big one, and I think that that definitely kind of got me into the space that I am today, because I'm still very, very Nintendo oriented, and I love Nintendo, and I will appreciate every single thing that they put out. But I see myself playing Overwatch a lot as well, which is a very competitive game. Uh, and honestly, I think that my history with League and my history like being in esports and being interested in it, but also my history of growing up with all of the DS systems that there were and the Wii. Splatoon is such a good game. I gotta throw it out there because Splatoon is like all of that put together. Um, yeah, sorry, I think I got a little sidetracked there, but it's okay.
No, that is what we are here for. Take us down the roads less traveled wherever you want to go. We will follow. Uh, out of curiosity, because I've watched people play League of Legends. I'm not too familiar with it, but I know it's one of those big mainstay like esport type games. What drew
Yeah.
you to League of Legends when you were playing it?
Well, I grew up watching my stepbrother play it actually. And then I had a friend in middle school that was playing it, and I was like, well, Well, I've seen that before, but it was a couple like a year after, 2 years after, and so I was just like, "I need to play that." Like, my stepbrother was playing that when I was little, like, I gotta and to me, it was, like, 2 years before the time, but, um, I had to play it, and so I started playing it with my friends in middle school, and then, I started watching, like, their competitions, their esports, and their teams and being interested and I think my very first like esports experience specifically was watching their world championships that they have for their competitive leagues, and it was such an amazing experience seeing just all of these people that were super, super excited about this game, and I was excited with them, you know what I mean? I had a team that I was rooting for, I had, I'd known and tried to teach myself about this game for the past year or whatever, and I was just super, super excited to be there and seeing a crowd of people all sitting and watching this video game with me and, the commentators are hyping it up. It was just an amazing experience. I definitely loved having watch parties for like esports events as well. I eventually got into well, in high school, I was in my high school esports team, and I was actually on our high school's League of Legends team, which was really, really cool. And I got to do like, tournaments and stuff through that, which was also really, really exciting. Um,
I'm sitting here as a over 40 guy that grew up with video games, and if you had told me that high schools had video game like esports teams, that younger me would have loved to have just been like skip over that and like go straight into doing stuff like that.
yeah.
It is so amazing what has come out of like the video game, like the video game world, and having like esports be on TV, and be in schools and be in where colleges are recruiting people, and having this just be, it's so open now, and it boggles my mind. Like, I saw something the other day where they're recruiting kids in middle school to start like to go to their training area and train in different video games to see what games they might be good at, and then put them on a path to maybe getting into a team of some sort. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I definitely envy kids that are growing up in this time period because it's got to be absolutely crazy. I grew up, early 2000s and like I said earlier, I grew up pretty poor, so I like to tell people that it was almost like I grew up in the late 90s because it felt like it and I had similar experiences as people that were older than me and to see these young kids being able to just do everything that I saw my friends doing, um, just they just do it. They're out here playing games, playing on their smartphones, playing smartphone games, watching YouTube videos, watching Twitch streams. It's just what they do, when they come home from school. And I'm just like, wow, it's got to be crazy growing up right now for sure.
It definitely is. I know I see it through my kids, and there are times like my one of my sons will sit me down. He's like, "Let's talk about Minecraft today." And being the person that has not played Minecraft except for like maybe once or twice, and I didn't know what I was doing, the stuff he's telling me about, it goes over my head. I'm like, I feel like that's how my parents were when I was telling them about like what I was doing on the Nintendo, and it's like
Yeah.
the circle is complete now.
Sometimes life does have a way of coming full circle, yes.
Now you're into like for like the competitive games. You're into like Overwatch, and I know you said to me off stream or off recording, Valorant is another game that you're into.
Yeah, I said that right as I had gotten into Valorant. I have not played Valorant in a while. I play at least 3 hours of Overwatch every night after my stream. Like that's how I chill out. I play way too much Overwatch. It's kind of crazy. Valorant was pretty fun. I do like the fact that it has very precise movements and like you have to be pretty accurate. I think playing Valorant, even for the week that I was playing it, made me 100 times better at all the other video games that I play. Definitely.
Okay. What is it about? I know with you saying that you spend like 3 hours a night at Overwatch. But with Overwatch, I've played it before. I'm not a first person shooter type of person. But what drew you to Overwatch? Because I know a number of people who play it, a number of people who are into the game, and everyone likes it for different reasons. So I'm curious what drew you to it.
I definitely started playing Overwatch as a social thing. I was just playing it with my friends because they wanted to play it. Right now, it's just like to be completely honest with you, Overwatch is going to be the easiest competitive game that you could really play on your computer right now. That's my opinion. However, it's a pretty easy game and you don't have to use too much brain power for it. And that's why it's kind of relaxing for me. You know what I mean? Like I can be good at Overwatch and be fine with myself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because you know, if I could play competitive League, let's just League of Legends as an example because it's a game I've played before. I will maybe rank, you know, silver in their ranking system or whatever. But with Overwatch, I can get platinum easy. Like I feel like I'm actually doing something when I play Overwatch, even though I know it's just because it's an easier game. But it's also just, you know, it's a fun time with your friends as well. And I don't know, I've always just enjoyed it, I guess. Definitely started playing as a social thing though, but I'm glad I did.
Who do you main? Who do you love to play in the game?
um, I I try not to say that I main a specific character because team composition kind of matters a little bit, you know, maybe
Hmm.
a little. But I do definitely main Hank or Tealer, no, tank or healer positions, um, which is fun. I don't play a lot of DPS because I'm not good at it.
Okay, gotcha.
um, but yeah, pretty much in any game that I've really played, I've always tried to play either a tank or healing position just because I fall into it easily, I guess.
I can understand that. I'm the same way with like tabletop role playing games like Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. I'm either the healing type person or I'm the person that just like runs up and likes to hit stuff because
Yep, pretty
for
much.
for me it's the easiest of the things. I don't have to like pay attention. I don't have to keep track of certain things. I'm just like, well, I'll either heal you and help you or I'll just be the person that's like running around attacking everything.
Pretty much. If I can't run into their first line of defense and not die, like I'm not doing it. Like I just want to get in there and get all up in their business. And I kind of play healing positions that way as well, where I will heal my team, but I'll also annoy the other team. Um
On top of the video game, like the first person like shooter type games and the esporty type games, you play Animal Crossing, which is not
oh,
anything well, I mean, I'm sure there is competitive Animal Crossing. I've seen some competitive like maze running and stuff like that, but Animal Crossing, not competitive.
Animal Crossing Animal Crossing is anything and everything that I've ever wanted put into a video game, and they did it. Like, they just did it, and it was the most beautiful thing that has ever been created. I also grew up playing a lot of, like, to be completely honest, Facebook games. I played a lot of Facebook games growing up. I played a lot of Farmville. I played a lot of Cityville. I played a lot of there was this fish aquarium game, and all of these type games where you're basically building your own something, whether it's your own farm or your own cafe or your own city or you know your own aquarium, whatever it is that you were doing, you were making it your own. And I loved that idea of of just being able to create within some parameters, you know what I mean? And Animal Crossing is such a beautiful game. It's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. I could talk about it forever and ever. But Animal Crossing is does such an amazing job of having your limitation you have limitations, but you're able to do so much within those. Especially with the new game coming out, Animal Crossing New Horizons. There's so much that you can do when it comes to terraforming the land that you are given or decorating or any of that stuff. And to see what the community can come up with and create is really, really astonishing, really. I love it.
Is New Horizons your first foray into Animal Crossing, or did you play it previously?
So I actually started with Animal Crossing New Leaf, which is the game right before New Horizons. And it was also I pretty much felt the same about it. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I can plant trees wherever I want. I'm gonna have a bush here. Here's a flower garden." Like it was beautiful. It was amazing. And then I did go back and I did play Population Growing, which was the original GameCube Animal Crossing game.
Mhm.
And I definitely get the charm, and I wish that I had the nostalgia of that game as well that some of my friends have with them growing up playing it. That's okay, I still enjoy it, it was still a beautiful game. I haven't gotten to play Animal Crossing Wild World or Animal Crossing City Folk, which is the DS and the Wii versions of Animal
Mhm.
Crossing. I would like to, I think. One day, I'll do it.
Yeah, the only one I haven't played is City Folk, but I remember when I was in college, my one of my friends had a GameCube and had got Animal Crossing, and I fell in love with it. And I went right after we finished hanging out. I went to the Target and picked up a GameCube and Animal Crossing. And I'm pretty sure Animal Crossing was the only game I had for the GameCube for at least a year, maybe a year and a half. It just like that was the only thing I needed.
Yeah, exactly. That was the only thing you needed. Animal Crossing in itself is just such an experience, I think.
And then we were blessed with the New Horizons, which they the only thing I can say is that a lot of the things that I've wanted in an Animal Crossing game, they have done, and they have done well, and it makes me happy. Even though I fell off the Animal Crossing wagon for a couple months, and my I've returned to my island and it's full of weeds. It it's something where I enjoyed the heck out of it, and it came out at the exact right time in everybody's lives
Oh,
because we were all
definitely.
locked in.
Right. Yeah, I am guilty of 1,300 hours in Animal Crossing since it released. And I would like to say that I could blame, the panoramic. However, I don't think that I can. I think that it's just I love Animal Crossing. But it definitely was a great excuse to play it as much as I did for sure.
Now, the question that's on everyone's minds that love Animal Crossing, and I'm going to ask, who is your favorite villager?
Oh no. So, when I was playing Animal Crossing New Leaf, these Sanrio villagers were very, very cute to me, very, very special to me. If you aren't aware, the Sanrio villagers you can obtain through these amiibo cards. They're kind of special, and they've actually just re-released them for New Horizons, which is why I bring this up because I wasn't able to say my favorite villager for the longest time, which is Chelsea. Chelsea is the My Melody Sanrio villager for Animal Crossing. And she is adorable, but she was not in New Horizons until well, she's still technically not in New Horizons, but she will be once this is out. I'm so excited for her. I cannot wait to have Chelsea on my island with me once again. I have a lot of favorites though. It's really hard to pick just one because like Chelsea does exist. However, so does Scoot. Scoot is this little dog and he wears this little helmet, but it kind of looks like he's wearing underwear on his head and he's really cute. There's all of the elephants. Literally all of the elephants have my entire heart. Oh, it's so hard to pick a favorite. I've gotta say Chelsea, though, especially now that she's gonna be back in the game. I'm super excited for that.
When you said the elephants, my heart went immediately to my elephant that I have not let off the island at all since March, and that is Tia. Like I am in
Cutie
love with
pie.
Tia.
Yes, Tia's a cutie pie. All of them. I love the elephants. There's not a bad elephant in the game, and it's what they deserve.
I know that depending on who I talk to, there's definitely like strong feelings on certain animal types, and they're like, no, like this animal will never be on my island, and it's
Yeah.
it's always amusing. Like I know somebody doesn't like hippos, and it's like, yep, there are definitely some hippos with personality there.
Yeah, I definitely have my own opinions as well. Um, all I gotta say is the gorilla villagers gotta go. They gotta leave. The door is right over there. I will show you to it.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
the gorillas
Oh,
are bad.
I picked up Hans from somebody the other day only because I frequent enough in the Hyrule Gaming group Twitch
I
where I'm
actually,
like,
yeah, I tell people I don't like gorillas, but I'm like, except Hans
well,
because of Hyrule
Hans is
Gaming Group.
well, Hans isn't even really a gorilla. I just say he's a yeti. Like he's a yeti
Yeah,
disguised as a
exactly.
gorilla.
Exactly. Yeah, we're
So
definitely on the same page there.
yeah, he's not a gorilla. He's cool. He can stay in his ice home or whatever.
With his little vest.
That's right. That's right. Now, now, getting away from games for a moment, because we'll pick it back up when we're talking about Twitch. But one of the things that you have started to do in the past couple months, which I'm in love with, I'm in love with the work that you do. I've said it at least a few times, either on your channel or talking about it on Twitter or on Instagram, is that you have started taking up painting. And I don't think I've ever talked to anyone about painting. So you might be the first person on the podcast to talk about it. But why painting? How did you decide to get into painting? Because it's not something that a lot of people are like, okay, I have free time, let me paint. Like it's not the thing that springs up into people's minds like right off the bat.
Yeah, to get a little personal, I guess, I grew up very, very creative and kind of having creativity as my outlet. I was very secluded, I think. I was very secluded as a child, and I also kind of had to go in and out of the system. But one thing that I learned through, the groups that I was in, or the therapy, or whatever it is that I was doing, was that art is such an amazing way for you to either let go of things, or to hold on to things, to cherish things, to move yourself or to move others. Art's only true purpose is to like invoke something within yourself or within those around you. And I think that that's really, really nice. I've definitely always been a creative person and an artistic person. And painting is really, really therapeutic. It is something that I want to have in my daily routine, something that I've been trying to have in my daily routine, because it helps me. It helps me quite a bit, and it's really cool to see that I can just, if I sit down for a couple hours and I, have a couple colors of this weird mix of stuff, then I can make something really beautiful, and other people will see that as well. And I don't know. I've definitely, like I said, I use it as a creative outlet for sure, and it's been really, really therapeutic and really, really nice.
So you've gotten into painting for the reasons that you got into just a moment ago. And I'm looking at your work. I pulled up your Etsy shop right now, so that way I can look at it and admire it while we talk. Um, you do. I don't know how to pronounce the name, so I'm gonna try to say it. Like you do a certain style And I think it's gouache or gouache or go out go eight
Let me
or
help you. Let me help you. Yeah, I personally, I think this is how it's pronounced. I've heard it pronounced a lot of different ways, so this might not even be it. But I pronounce it as gouache. Um, Gouache, I guess.
okay.
Gouache by Annie, yeah. And gouache is actually a type of paint. So it's the type of paint that I use for my paintings that I do. And it's kind of a mix between watercolor and acrylic paint. Some people describe it as opaque watercolor because you can get similar feels as you would if you were painting with watercolor paints or if you were painting with acrylic or oil paints, which is really, really nice.
Why did you choose that as far as like the type of paint that you're wanting to paint with? Because that's a something that I find real interesting is that you're not doing like the typical like as you said like the water paints or water painting. It's with this special type of paint. So what drew you to that as far as the medium?
To be honest, I really love the look of watercolor paintings, but I could never figure out really how to do them myself. With watercolor, a lot of artists will generally go from lighter colors to darker colors just because of how the paint works. But with gouache, because it is more opaque and more similar to acrylic paints, you can kind of go in between making your paintings looking like watercolor or acrylic or both or you know there's so much flexibility in the medium for me to do whatever it is that I want to do, which is really, really nice.
How do you decide what you're working on as far as painting? Like, do you have like a list of I'd like to paint X, Y, and Z? Is it you know what? Let me just try something out. Like, where do you get your inspiration from to decide what you're working on?
I tend to just paint whatever it is I'm feeling like painting, you know what I mean? I don't really think about it too much. However, recently I have been doing a lot of realistic painting studies, which has been really, really nice. You're probably looking at my shop right now. I have one listing on there and I have a popcat painting. That popcat painting is probably one of my favorite paintings that I've ever done. And if you aren't familiar with PopCat, PopCat is a popular meme, basically, of just this cat. But like that, for example, was very impromptu. I just we were talking about it in my voice chat in our Discord server for the community. We were just talking about PopCat and watching PopCat videos. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna paint PopCat, and that's kind of how my paintings come about. It's just whatever it is I'm feeling or have on the mind, or something that makes me laugh, or something that makes me feel comfort. I guess I like to do a lot of landscape paintings, which is really fun because I've never really worked with landscapes until I actually started painting. I will say, as an artist, I kind of started more digitally. I did a lot more digital art than I did traditional. And I think that that experience has definitely taught me a lot about switching to a traditional medium. And I'm actually a lot happier with my work now that I'm working with the traditional mediums versus being a digital artist.
It's definitely something where I know that some people prefer digital and some people prefer the oh gosh like the non-digital, the actual real stuff. The words, our words are failing
Traditional.
us. Traditional, traditional paint
We're
and the
trying our
tradition.
best.
We definitely are. I even have my coffee next to me, so I'm working on it. Um, One of the things I love about your work, and I know that you on your Instagram just recently had posted a picture, a painting that you had worked on, based off of Spirited Away. And I say that because one of the items that's in your shop right now, which is the sunflower, your sunflower original painting.
Yeah,
When I
that is a
saw that,
Ghibli that is actually from a Ghibli film as well.
I was going to say it looks very similar to a Studio Ghibli movie, and I was like that like it looks so good because it's got that water like the way that they do their animation and the style that they do, and you have it right there. And I love looking at it right now.
I will say that there is quite a bit of gouache artists that will try to replicate or imitate Ghibli film just backgrounds, and it's something that I actually do as well when doing landscape studies. Is I'll look up a Ghibli background because they do such an amazing job of portraying just the comfiness, you know what I mean? The
Hmm.
coziness. It's so nice, it's so relaxing. And there's actually quite a bit of gouache artists that will try to imitate that feel as well. There's definitely lots of videos out there.
I saw somebody on Twitter talking about the art style today between them and Pixar, and they're like, Pixar will animate every single blade of grass, and in uh, the Studio Ghibli movies is that they won't animate stuff, but they'll color different patches to make it look and have that feel of this is real. This is the way grass should look like, and I really like that. Because I was looking at the picture that they had accompanied it with. I was like, I totally see it. Like I see like just they're not having to have every blade of grass drawn out. They just have different textures and colors to their grass to make it feel like
Yeah,
grass.
exactly. And a lot of I want to say like they've got to be someone's got to be painting up some references for their backgrounds. Like it looks so similar to watercolor paintings or gouache paintings. Sometimes it's crazy, and I love using Ghibli for references, and I know a lot of artists do as well. And I definitely recommend it because they do an amazing job of not only using different colors, but also with the composition of how they animate as well is really similar and really easily moves over into painting or the composition of a painting, which is really nice.
On your Etsy, you have your work, including some that are geared towards Animal Crossing. And personally, this is a personal question: is will you be doing more Animal Crossing work, or are you moving in a different direction with your painting?
um I'm not sure. I mean, I will definitely be putting more Animal Crossing artwork out there, but I think it goes along with the fact that my art doesn't necessarily it's not necessarily planned, you know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
kind of just whatever it is I'm feeling in the moment. Right now, I'm focusing on painting realistically. However, next week I'll probably be focusing on, how to paint different plants or something. I'm very impromptu with what it is I'm deciding to paint. There's definitely going to be more Animal Crossing art in the future though, just because it is something that's near and dear to my heart and something that I really enjoy and have a lot of passion for.
And we're going to segue now because the first two topics that we covered on the podcast, video games and art, are both things that you stream on Twitch.
Yay.
Which I've really enjoyed because there was you were painting eyes the other night, and there was an eye, a specific eye, and I can't remember which one it is, that looks so good. I could not believe what I was looking at, and that you had started, and you had started like working out how I guess like how to do it, but then by the end of what you were working on, I think like your final two eyes were just like incredibly, like just really good to look at.
Yeah, I definitely I get really nervous for the painting stream specifically, just because I never know what's going to happen. I start with a blank page, and I'm like, this can either go one of two ways. I either hate it or I don't, and there's definitely an added stress factor when you're doing it live as well. But I had a lot of similar comments to people who had come in the beginning of the stream, and they're seeing me, just putting down the sketch or just putting down the base colors, and it looks a little wonky. I will say there is always an ugly stage of your painting. And if your painting is still ugly, it's only because it's not done yet. You will get there, but it's going to be ugly for a little bit. But there was definitely a lot of similar comments as to where this looks nothing like it did 30 minutes ago when I was in here before. Holy heck, how did you do that? And to be honest, I don't know. I have no idea.
It's magic.
It is. I feel like something takes over whenever I'm painting. It's not me. It's definitely not me.
Now, Annie, how did you decide to start streaming on Twitch? What was your journey to pull the trigger and say, I'm going to start streaming my video games and eventually your art, but primarily like at the time that I met you is that you were just doing the video games. How did you decide to start doing this?
To be really honest with you, I started streaming about 2 years ago. I started streaming more purposefully. However, my very first Twitch stream was when I was 13 years old. I was playing League of Legends, and I streamed to literally no one. I wasn't sure what I was doing from my little laptop that I was using at the time. And I remember when I was that age, that is all that I wanted to do. I wanted to be on a League of Legends esports team. I wanted to be a big Twitch streamer that everyone was watching. It was like literally just everything that I wanted. And I remember that, and then I remember not being interested in that. I wasn't interested in it at all, and I kind of lost my interest really for video games. And I think I was just, being a silly teenager and just doing all these things, but kind of lost that interest. And it wasn't until 2 years ago, I was kind of in between jobs. I was honestly, to be very honest with you, I was looking for a side hustle. I was looking for something that I could do to help me pay my bills, but also something that I would enjoy and have like fulfillment while doing. And I thought about Twitch streaming again, and I looked at my janky setup, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna do my best. um, and so I started streaming, or actually that night that I decided I was gonna start streaming, I went into, and I think you may know her, Lizabelle. I went into her stream, and she was playing some Animal Crossing, and it was such an amazing time. I had such a good time. Lizabelle has such an amazing community, and the fact that she was streaming from her 3DS blew my mind. Because
Hmm.
this was, 2 years ago. The 3DS is not really, the Switch has already come out. Like, no one's playing the 3DS anymore, but I was. So I was like, whoa, that is absolutely crazy. And I did all this research, and I started streaming Animal Crossing New Leaf, which is my first game and my main game for a really, really long time. And I just been doing it ever since. I'm really appreciative of Lizabelle having a welcoming community and really like rekindling my love for Twitch. And also just when I was younger, being a silly kid on the internet, thinking I was gonna be a famous Twitch streamer.
Well, from my perspective, when I'm on late at night sometimes, and I'm looking at my Twitch streams that are active, I certainly see your name frequenting the top slot on a number of evenings. I'm like, get it, Annie, get it.
Yeah, I think the timing with the new Animal Crossing game was really, really helpful, I think, in me growing my community and growing my brand and trying to spread out the news of Annie. Annie and chaos, pretty much. But yeah, yeah, it's been a wild ride for sure.
What games do you like to stream on Twitch as far as the video games go? I know Animal Crossing is one of the big ones that you do. Do you
I
do any others?
definitely I have been focusing on Animal Crossing primarily for the last 2 years. I have pulled some other games out my sleeves. We've played quite a bit of Splatoon, I wanna say, on stream, Splatoon 2. Recently, I've been getting a little bit into Mario Kart and playing that with my community, which has been a lot of fun. I will say, though, I've primarily been streaming Animal Crossing for a lot of the last 2 years, and I plan to have more painting streams for sure, as it's something I enjoy doing, and I would like to share that out with the community as well.
With Animal Crossing, it's always something that when I talk to people that aren't watching people play Animal Crossing on Twitch, their reaction is, how can people play Animal Crossing for 8 hours or 10 hours straight, straight, like, because you and I both know you stream Animal Crossing for a number of hours a night. We follow people that stream Animal Crossing for 8, 10, 12 hours sometimes, and it's hard to explain to them. I try my best. I'm like, oh, they do villager hunts, or they're doing like games or giveaways or hosting things, but it's definitely something where you have to have, I think, a certain personality to do a good Animal Crossing stream for a number of hours.
Yeah, I to be completely honest, I am an Animal Crossing streamer. And I will call myself that on a number of occasions. However, whenever I think about it for real, I could classify myself as a just chatting streamer as well, just because I feel like a lot of an Animal Crossing stream is just sitting there and, hanging out with your community and having fun with what's going on the screen. I will sometimes stream Animal Crossing for 5 hours, but the entire time I was just running around my island in circles. And that's okay because I was just having a good time and so were my friends. And that's really like I don't know. I know other streamers they do crazy things. They do 8-hour villager hunts and they go through like 500 Nook Mile tickets, or they'll have treasure islands and they'll have people come over. And there's all sorts of different things that you can do with Animal Crossing, but you can also just be like me and sit there for 4 hours and run around in circles.
Yes, I have watched. I don't know if I've seen the running around in circles part. I've seen a couple of them where like the villagers just standing still while you're talking to everyone. It's like,
Pretty
okay, like
much.
this is where we are. Is just this is a just chatting with Animal Crossing on the side.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll see some streamers that will just have like this really beautiful laid out area on their island. They've done an amazing job decorating. They've obviously put a lot of work into it. And they'll just sit there. They'll just sit on a bench or something and they'll let people take in the gloriousness of their island and they'll just chat with them. And I vibe with that so much because like yes. Animal Crossing really is a game of let me decorate my island and let me share it. Let me put it out there. Let me have my friends come over to my island and we can hang out. Let me go over to my friend's island and we can hang out. Like it's really just a let's hang out, let's chill type of game, and I think that's what I really love about it for sure.
Absolutely, and I know that I enjoy just like sitting and watching you and not I will say sometimes not watching you because I like to lurk and just listen on my headphones while I'm working, but it's cool to just listen to you talk and then like peek over at chat to see what they're talking about and seeing the back and forth between you and chat. And so there are some nights where definitely there's some some I don't want to say rowdiness, but there you definitely have like a an evening vibe of like it's almost like Annie's Club, like welcome to Annie's Club in
Yeah, we are
Animal Crossing.
definitely I definitely like to put the words late night into my title or whatever it is you want to call it because we definitely have the late night chaotic vibes for sure.
You've been streaming Animal Crossing, and you as we talked with the painting, you started streaming your painting. Um, is that a hard switch over for you as far as like your setup goes? Do you have to make a number of like adjustments to it, or is it as simple as You point the webcam down, and that's what you do.
Yeah, so I actually don't use a webcam for my streaming camera. I use a big old chunky DSLR camera.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, I don't have a capture card for it. I have a Canon camera though, and Canon has a really cool program that allows you to kind of use your camera as a webcam. It's pretty complicated and took me forever to figure out. I could not explain it to another person for sure. Uh, however, it's pretty much just me having to move my tripod. I will say I get very flustered when I do move around my camera because I do it very often, whether it's for taking pictures or videos for other platforms or Instagram for my paintings, or if I'm taking shop listing photos, and then having to move my camera back and forth is kind of a hassle. But otherwise, it's not too bad. It's actually kind of fun because the more and more I do it, the more and more I'm learning, not only about my equipment itself, but also just different ways of efficiency, which is something I definitely need in my life. I'm a very messy person, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad switching over. I get a little stressed. I will like a lot, like 2 hours ahead of my stream if it's a painting stream specifically, just to make sure everything is set up and good to go. Because tech difficulties during a stream has got to be one of the most embarrassing things ever. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
I don't stream often. I don't think I've streamed in like 2 years now, probably. But one of my streams, somebody so thankfully had come into my chat and said, "Yeah, your video is frozen. Like we can hear you, but the video is just stuck." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" Like I felt so terrible. Like here I am, just like playing this game and thinking that everyone's just able to watch. And I say everyone as in like the two people that were in the stream at the time. But I was grateful that somebody spoke up and said, "Hey, we can't see
Definitely.
anything."
I'm super grateful for the friends that will be like, "Hey, your mic is muted. I know you've been talking to us for 10 minutes. However," and I'm like, "Okay, all right. Yes, thank you." I have the type of community though that my camera freezes. It does freeze often because I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm usually winging pretty much every single stream. So I don't know what my equipment is doing. If my camera freezes, I don't know how to fix it, and I don't know that it happens. My community is the type of community that will screenshot that, put it into the Discord, spam it in the Discord, post it on Twitter, use it to comment on every single post that I post. So it's definitely a fun time.
Oh my goodness. Um, with your painting streams, I've noticed that the vibe is different. Is that just something that because you're focused on the painting, that the vibe is kind of like a chiller vibe? Because I've noticed it with chat too. Chat seems to kind of they they seem from what you know what when I hang out that during painting streams the chat is a little bit not I think quieter is quieter and like more like paying attention and just chatting, but not like the late night atmosphere.
Yeah, I think I would probably compare my Animal Crossing streams as more the late night, Saturday night type vibes, and my painting streams are more of like a sleepy time chamomile tea. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
they're definitely more chill, and I think it's just because, yeah, I'm not necessarily focused too much on the chat itself. I try to be very chat oriented as a streamer. I think it's really, really important. And even if, no one's in chat, at least I'm talking into the air, filling up space.
Right.
But with the painting streams, I'm definitely a lot more focused and trying to, do it almost as if it were not necessarily a class, but more of a demonstration. Like, okay, this is what I'm doing now. This is why I'm doing this. Here's this color that I'm mixing. And I do think that it's more of people taking in information, and also just it's a very chill vibe. And I think people enjoy that as well. And I've never been in an art stream that's been like high energy, crazy. chaos. But I've definitely been in an Animal Crossing stream like that. In fact, every single one that I have.
Now, what is we're here in 2021. You've been streaming for 2 years, give or take. Um, what's your goals? What do you want to accomplish on Twitch? Where do you want to go from where you are now? Whether that's short-term goals or long-term goals, like what would you like?
Um, well, I know my big goal for 2021 is to get partner. I'm super close. Well, I was super close. I was really, really close to hitting partner about a month ago. I was really, really close with all the achievements and stuff that you need to do. Um, However, I took a little bit of a break and I also moved.
Hmm.
And so I wasn't able to stream as often and I kind of messed myself up there, but it's okay. I do believe that we will hit partner in 2021. I'm manifesting it now. We'll see. Uh, but I definitely never have seen partner as an end goal. I think that it's a goal that I would like to accomplish, but I think a lot of streamers will get into this mindset of, I'm going to hit partner and then they don't really work towards anything anymore because they haven't set anything for them to work towards. Uh, my biggest goal, I think, in the space that I'm in right now, specifically the gaming space, I would absolutely adore hosting or commentating for gaming events, whether it's, cons or tournaments or esports stuff or charity work that the gaming community is doing or for different brands, different businesses. I would absolutely love to get into commentating and hosting for stuff like that.
Hmm.
I don't know how though, so we'll see. We'll get there. But I think that that's more of like an overall like big time goal for me within the gaming space. I love streaming and I definitely want to continue being a broadcaster because it's a lot of fun. However, my plans with streaming aren't necessarily like it, you know? Streaming has kind of been my segue and my footstep in the door, I guess, into what it is that I really, really would like to do for sure.
Okay. Well, that is awesome. I like that you said that partners not like the end goal, because I've seen that from some streamers, like some bigger name streamers where they get partner and then that's it. Like they got their partner and they just kind of seem to not have anything else to work towards. And I love that that is a goal, but it's not the goal. Like you have those other goals that you're striving for and you're reaching for. And that's really something that I'm really glad that you have, that mindset and that frame of mind to go after.
Yeah, I think people get a little skewed because of how social media portrays, these partnered streamers. People think that that is going to solve all your problems. Like, okay, now I've got this check mark and I'm going to go do this now, which is something that I've never done before. You have to be cautious when taking those steps because that check mark doesn't automatically validate you in every single project or every single um, pathway that you're trying to take, and you've got to kind of think about it in a different light of, okay, well, I've got partner, what can I do with that and what can I do to um, keep moving forward. And I think people sometimes forget that, and I think it's okay. I think wanting partner is an amazing thing to want, and an amazing thing to work for, as long as you're realizing that your work isn't automatically paid off at that moment. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You're going to have to continue to just keep being your best, and once you're doing that, you have no worries. But people will slack off, and it sucks. It sucks seeing these amazing creators kind of fall into this, oh, well, now they feel like they're not doing enough, or they're not doing what they're supposed to. But it's just because they forgot to put that work that they were putting in before as well, and it sucks.
Absolutely. Well, Annie, we are near the end. But I'm going to just say something to people who are listening. And if you enjoyed Annie's episode tonight, if you send me an email at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com, and it'll be the first person that does so, and we'll see if anybody's listening at this point. If you send me an email, you tell me which print you want from Annie's shop, and I will buy that print and send it to a listener of this podcast episode. So send me an email, talesfromthefandom@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to send a piece of Annie's off to somebody who has listened to this episode. Now, Annie, for people that have listened to this episode and they want to see you stream or check out your work or go buy your work or see your social media postings, where can people find you?
Heck yeah, come hang out. I'm live on Twitch currently. My current schedule and hopefully my future schedule is Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9 p.m. CST. Twitch.tv/Annieisnotokayy. All regular spelling except the OK has two Y's. You can find me on Twitter as well under the same name. And then my art stuff, that's going to be my Instagram, my Etsy shop, and my TikTok as well, is all at gouache by Annie.
And I'll have the links in the show notes and on the website and Facebook page, so that way you can click on them and go check out Annie and see their work, because it's great and I love it. And I want to say, Annie, I said it before we started recording, and I probably said it like right at the beginning of when we were started, is that I enjoy you. You are one of my favorite late night streamers when I am working, and I choose you when I need like that vibe that you got, the club vibe that's going on with your Animal Crossing, and you keep me going for my late night working hours. And I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to have you spend some time with me today, and I just want to say thank you.
I just want to say thank you. I'm super thankful for this opportunity, friend. Thank you for allowing me the space to use my words and speak.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to Tales from the Fandom. Subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/talesfromthefandom to see photos, links, leave feedback, and check out upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest, email David at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.